Hello and welcome to this will be the fifth episode of our DevLog series and the second episode featuring our three-person roundtable discussion. I'm Andrew, that's Eric, and Brian is our sound engineer.
Hello, hello.
So for this week's topic, we thought we would talk a little bit about one of the tools that we feel has been instrumental in terms of helping us develop our game, especially given the fact that we all three live in very, very different parts of the world, and that is using Discord, the platform Discord, to create what we call the weekly sync. Um, and that's basically an hour every week where we get together and we talk all things uh, that have to do with the game. Now, typically, what will happen is each one of us will bring something that we've been working on that week, and we'll kind of do a share. And then the other two will kind of comment and maybe make suggestions or give feedback and try to figure out how maybe their part works with the other's part and things of that nature. And then we also oftentimes will do kind of a macro zoomed out discussion about things like tone and the kind of the feeling, what sorts of visuals and audio experience and gameplay experience do we want the players of our game to experience. And we found this to be very helpful. I think that we thought that it would be helpful, but I don't think any one of us could have predicted just how useful this weekly sync has proved to be. So we're going to recommend that if you are working with other individuals, that you give it a try. And I think you will find that it helps, give the project that that meaningful. It's kind of like a living, breathing thing that's constantly, moving towards the finish line, basically. So that's kind of my introduction. Eric, you want to say some stuff about it?
It's funny because this is going to relate to my thing. The grade 6 class is walking behind me, so we'll let Pelt go second.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
you're Brian, if you're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. I step in. Yeah, so speaking from the perspective of being the music and sound effects guy, a lot of value in having a dedicated Discord server to post updates, as well as the weekly sync that we do. I think for me, seeing updates posted from Eric and Andy in the Viz Dev channel, for example, hey, Pelt, I just built this sweet, freaky looking front door for our haunted mansion, or hey, here's the interior design for the stairs. Here's what I'm thinking. From my perspective, I now start to think about, okay, this looks awesome. What music and sound effects can I start to layer on top of that, right? And we've seen it could also apply in the reverse order too, where I think of maybe a sound effect that I want to design in the game, and then Eric and Andy think about, oh, that's sweet. Like we want to have some sort of model or part of the haunted mansion for our specific game, like tied to that sweet sounding sound. So it really does become, when those posts become frequent within the different channels that we have, it really does become a domino snowball effect, whatever analogy you want to use, of inspiration for everyone. When we see an awesome looking set piece of the haunted mansion, I immediately want to enhance that and layer that with an awesome looking sound effect. So I think that's a big component for me. And as we thread updates throughout the week in the Discord server, and then coming to the weekly sync, that's where we can really start to roadmap and game plan of, okay, here's what we want to accomplish, based on kind of where we're at with the project. So that's my initial thought on that, and really just an opportunity to continue to be inspired with the project, because it is going to be a long haul. It's going to be a lot of work. So I think just keeping that motion and muscle fresh is a big value add.
Yeah, no, that's very said, Peltis. And I'll say from the animation side, I will say if you're an animator and you're lucky enough to work with your sound engineer uh, during the project as opposed to after, I actually really recommend let your sound person do a pass at something and then try to animate to the sound, right? Because the reason I say that is because a big part of animation is a sense of rhythm and timing, right? I mean, when I was in animation school, we talked a lot about, uh, you know, how some of the best animators also tend to be musicians because, their work has just kind of a natural sense of rhythm and flow and things like that. So, one of the things that you can do to get some of that into your animations is, you know, let your sound person come up with something that feels, good rhythmically. And then what's nice about that is the animator is the timing's already worked out for you. So all you have to do is match the timing of a well executed, you know, sound effect, and it will kind of naturally give your animation some, I will say, some more like a more cinematic sense of timing if you're into that. And for our game, that's like a big part of what we're trying to bring to it. So that's just something that I thought of about one of the ways that you can kind of work back and forth if you have your sound person working with you uh, throughout the process as opposed to finishing the game and then just getting a bunch of sound effects and music afterwards. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I understand that for a lot of you that's kind of the option you have to go. But if you are lucky enough to have a sound person working with you, I really encourage, instead of having an animation set in your mind about this is how it's going to go, let them, take a pass at it and then you react to their work. And I think you'll find you'll get some interesting results. But
Yeah.
Eric, we're going to kick it to you in just a second, but first I want to talk about what Pelt said because I want to show a little bit about the way our Discord server is set up and how it's conducive to the daily updates. So we have these different channels, right? And so for example, here's, VizDev. Oh, we pass memes to each other. I guess we don't always keep the off-topic stuff to the off-topic channel, but the whole idea is that each channel kind of has its own um, topic, and because of that, Brian knows that his channel is the Hans Pelter channel, so he knows that he can post his sound effects here, and then Eric and I know that anytime there's a post in this channel, there's some new sound effects and music to kind of react to. Let's listen to the lighter item pickup because this is in the game now. It's a pretty cool sound. It's so satisfying. And then this is the so back to what I was talking about where you let the sound inform your animation. We want to have this cinematic moment where the front door of the mansion opens up, and this is what Brian did for that. Right? So for me, that I know you guys probably can't hear the sound, but the viewers will be able to. For me, that sound has a lot of timing information built into it that then I can use as the animator to kind of help myself. It actually gives me less work to do. So that's an example of that. Eric, are you ready to comment a little bit on the benefits of having a weekly sync?
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, as the other guys have been talking about, we feel that the Discord platform has been really fantastic. And just to kind of reiterate, to me, there's sort of the two categories. There's that weekly sync. We're talking on Discord right now. We're recording this. We started recording these roundtables as part of our weekly syncs, and we do that in a voice channel on the server. And as Andrew pointed out, having the structure of the different channels with the categories, visual updates, sound updates, programming updates. Discord's been great just to kind of get that feeling of, because what I think of is back in the 90s. I grew up in the 90s playing games in the 90s. So I think of like some of the classic game companies like a Sierra or I'm blanking on some of these other ones. But yeah, exactly. And I think of like, okay, those teams, they were in an office together, getting a chance to talk to each other every day, and you kind of build this idea of constantly updating each other with your ideas. And nowadays, if you guys are working in a small team or starting to try to put together a small team, a lot of the times you might have to work with people that are halfway around the world. Case in point for us, Brian and Andrew are in West Coast California, and I'm in Bangkok, Thailand. So how are we going to get a chance to give ourselves these constant updates like we would if we were working in the same office? And this is the chance to do that, because I can, even if it's 3 a.m. their time, it's 6 p.m. in the evening my time. I open up, I look, and I can see, okay, Brian posted this music idea, and it gives me inspiration to kind of work on the various parts of the game based on that. So yeah, I think the platform just does a really good job of simulating that maybe small office feel that you would have had if you were a small team building games in the 90s, and it just gives the process just a little bit more professional feel. It's like, okay, we do have a studio, we do have a place where we can update each other constantly, and we do have a place where we have a weekly meeting that everyone's expected to show up to and treat that time, carve out in our schedule so that we show up on a consistent basis and have those weekly syncs.
Yeah, that's a good point. One thing we should talk about is like the weekly sync is like borderline sacred for us. Like, yes, if something comes up, we all have busy lives. We have rescheduled, but I would say the amount of times we've had to reschedule have been very, very rare.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of known that like, hey, this hour, this week, you show up, right? And you bring something new, basically. I mean, and it's not like I want to mention it's not a pressure in like a negative sense. It's more of a positive feedback loop, because I know that if I see something that Brian posts, like let's say we meet on Tuesdays, generally meet on Tuesdays. Let's say Brian posts something on Saturday and it's really cool and I'm really inspired. That kind of makes me want to show up to the sync with something just a little bit more than maybe what I would have shown up with otherwise. So really treating it really, respectfully, and just kind of understanding that, all of us are really busy guys. We have lots of things we like to do with our time. So if any one of us is going to take an hour out of their day to do something, I feel like the other two of us are really just good about respecting that fact. And even though we're brothers and we're really, really close, I think in our capacity as game developers, we actually treat ourselves very professionally. So that's something that I am proud that we do.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah, Pell, go ahead.
no, that's a really great call out. I think I 100% feel that. I think it's this sense of collectively we want to contribute to the success of the project, and there's going to be 50, 60, 100 weekly syncs cumulatively that add up, right? And I think when I come to that weekly sync, like I want to bring something of value to the table, not in a pressure cooker way, like Andy was just saying, but it's almost like, hey, this is a priority. Like I want to show that I am contributing and being of value add. So that weekly sync is just an opportunity to kind of hold yourself accountable, not in a stressed out way, but
Yeah.
just in a manner that hey, like we're all committed to this project. We have busy schedules, like Andy mentioned, but this is something that we want to continue to prioritize. So just definitely echoing that point, Andy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think accountability is a huge thing, and I think there's a very specific type of positive accountability, right? Where you want to show up for people that you admire their work, you admire the skills that they bring, right? That's a totally different type of accountability than, oh, I'm afraid of my boss getting mad at me, right? And so I think it's really important to, I think you'll know who those people are. And I think it's really, really important, if you can, if at all possible, to keep your team only comprised of individuals who you can trust with that responsibility. Because the minute that someone starts pushing on someone or leveraging on someone, it's just going to make the whole environment just not as positive. And you need that positivity, because game dev is a grind. It is a lot of work. And I think one of the things that we've been able to do to sustain this effort is just, I think we have a place where, we work really hard. We all do. But at the end of the day, I think it is a lot of fun. And And I think people come to this sync to kind of get away from the stress of the normal work week. I know I do. I don't know if you guys agree, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Doobie, what about you?
I absolutely agree. I actually teach a small game dev elective course here at my high school, and I tell the students game dev is a lot of work, but it's some of the most fun, hard work that you can do. So I absolutely agree. It's um, uh, that getting a chance to you have to treat it seriously because it takes a lot of work. It's quite a grind, but it is super fun. It's something that I always look forward to. Every week I look forward to the weekly sync.
All right. Well, thanks again, Eric and Pelt, for joining me. Look forward to many more of these roundtable discussions. As I've looked at the format of the episodes, I kind of feel like these roundtable three-person discussions are, I think, more entertaining than the other episodes. We'll definitely still provide updates on the game and where it's going, but I'll probably do that with the guys here as well so that we can all kind of comment on that. So next week, look forward to a game update. We'll kind of show you some of the new stuff that's in the game. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you for next week's episode. The rest of you guys want to say goodbye to the viewers?
Thanks for tuning in, y'all.
I absolutely. I have a signature sign off that I like to do, if I may, which is happy deving, everyone. Bye.
All right. Take care, everyone.